Hey everybody, thanks for joining me on part 2 of the Smokeless fire pit build. If you haven't already, please like the channel and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. On the first part of the build, we finished the inner drum. If you haven't seen this video, I'll leave a link below. Let's get started on part 2. I need to cut out the upper ring. This is going to involve 2 cuts. The outside diameter is going to be 34.5. The inside will be 28. This circle jig I made in a previous video. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave a link below. It works incredible. It's perfect. It cuts a great circle. And it was extremely easy to make. The plasma cutter I'm using is from my YesWelder Versus MP200. It's the 5-in-1 multi process, and this plasma cutter cuts through this 14 gauge steel like butter. To cut out the 28-inch circle is as simple as measuring the center of the cup, 14 inches, to the center of the magnet to give me my 28-inch circle. As always, if you have any questions about the project, welders, tools used today, or have any other comment or suggestions about future projects, please let me know in the comments below. I'm going to line it up and tack it to the inner ring. I was using the binder strap to try to make the inner tub as round as possible so I could tack this in place. Now I can flip it over and weld it up. This MIG welder welds really nice. The torch is rotary cuffed on my hand. It lays down a great bead and it's super easy to use. At this point, I'm going to clean up the edges. I'm going to clean up the welds. I'm going to use acetone and clean up the metal, and I'm going to paint the outside before the next step. The reason I'm painting now is because once the outer layer is on, I'm never going to be able to hit this with paint. I don't want it to rust out. The type of paint I'm using is a high heat resistant paint. For the outer wall, I'm going to cut 12.5 inches, the full length of 96 inches. I'm then going to cut a 6-inch by 12.5. I'm going to weld these two together, and that'll give me the proper length for my outside diameter. I'm adding grips underneath just to help catch the metal so it doesn't fall on the floor. Okay, this 6-inch piece, I'm going to overlap 2 inches, weld it to the 96-inch piece. I do not have a bender, but what I do have is an 18-inch diameter heavy-duty pipe. I'm able to clamp the sheet metal to it. I'm going to roll it, and it works pretty good for me. It gets me close enough that I can weld it in place. After rolling it, I overlapped by 2 inches. I clamped it. I'm going to tack it in place. Then I'm going to weld it all up. By extending this the extra 6 inches, it allows me to have an 1.5 inch gap between the inner tub and the outer tub. It's all welded up. Just clean it up and weld it on. Once again, I'm using a binder to help keep it round as possible. I also have 1.5 inch spacers placed around the tub. Before I tacked this in place, I did paint the inside. Once again, once welded, I'm not going to be able to paint the inside. As you see, I'm tacking it up right now. Once done, I'll weld it all up. I need the fire pit off the ground. I'm going to try to make a template here. I'm going to make it all in one piece. The goal is to get off the ground 4 inches. The center of the feet I want to be approximately 2 inches. Once I get this template completely cut out, I'm going to clean up the edges. I'm going to use this as a tracer for my plasma cutter to cut out 4 feet. My goal is to come in 4 inches on either side, bend it to a 90-degree angle, then bend the tongue, the 2-inch tongue in the center to meet up with it. Let me show you now how I accomplish this. With my template all cut out and cleaned up, I have it clamped to my workpiece. I'm going to take my plasma cutter and trace out the outside following the template, and this is how I'm going to make my feet. So when I actually designed this template, I kept in mind that my plasma cutter is 1/8 of an inch off from center. Knowing this, I designed this template to be 1/8 inch smaller on all sides. With the Sharpie, I marked a 2-inch center on either side, so I can score with a grinder either side to help me make a nice sharp bend. Alright, with it scored, I put it in my vise and I bent at the scored marks. By scoring the inside before bending it, it makes it really easy to bend. It gives you a nice sharp bend, and it makes it real easy to get an exact 90-degree angle. Okay, with both sides bent at a 90-degree angle, next thing to do is bend the tongue so it meets the sides. I'm going to use a hammer to make this bend nice and sharp. And that's it. This is exactly how I made each and every one of the 4 feet. I welded up the sides, made it all one piece. And when I welded the bottom of the pit, I made sure I welded it to the inside and the outside tub. Alright, for the bottom of the inner tub, I need to make a vent. I'm going to make this vent into the shape of a plus sign. It's going to be 24 inches long on both sides, and the width will be 2 inches. What I'm cutting out here is the 1 inch by 24 inch side parts of the vent. I'm going to cut out 4 of these. Then I'm going to cut out 2 at 2 inches by 24 inches. That'll be the top plate of the vent. Using a clipboard, I made a template to give me 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch squares on the side vents. I got the idea from Mike Vestida. His channel is really good, really informative. You need to check him out. So after I'm done cutting the squares out, I'm going to cut the side vents in half. And this again will make sense in a minute. So I grabbed one of the 2 by 24 inch pieces and cut it down so I can make a perfect cross measuring 24 inches by 24 inches. I tacked it in place and welded it up. I took my side vent pieces, cut them down so they would sit just in about 1/4 inch on each corner. I welded 2 of them at a 90-degree angle, and I did the same for the other 6 side pieces. With all the side vents welded together, now I can weld them to the top vent plate. I did weld them with the notches facing the top plate. I centered the cross on the bottom of the inner toe and welded it in place. I missed recording it before I welded this in place. I did cut 1.5 by 3 rectangles right where the ends meet to form the cross. This will give the necessary airflow to the fire. Everything's all welded up. I ended up using one 4x8 sheet of 14 gauge steel and a 96 inch by 12.5 inch off another sheet. I painted the whole entire pit with the high heat paint. This Smokeless fire pit was a fun project and it worked incredibly well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video.